We all use Rycote's lovely products and we just assume that they're going to do a great job, but I wonder how many of us have thought about how they test them. Do they just wave them around on top of a windy Gloucestershire hill? It isn't that simple to get repeatable, controlled test results. So let's have a look inside Timo's torture chamber. Timo, this isn't your average man shed. What goes on in here?
Well, those are our brand new test facilities. When I joined Rycote about 18 months ago, I wanted to create a facility within Rycote to get an in-depth knowledge of what we do. So I've asked Rycote if it would be possible to build up our own sound lab on the property, which they luckily agreed to. So I was able to conceptualize it together with an acoustic architecture office in Munich. And we created something which is really bespoke to what we need.
Well, I guess something like this doesn't exactly come cheap, does it?
No, but it's absolutely worth it. So we can do a lot of things we were not able to do before. So it was done somewhere else and not repeatable. And yeah, so a lot of benefits we get from this, which we were not able to get hold of before.
So what is it exactly that you measure in this beautiful acoustic space?
It is a semi-anechoic chamber where we can do frequency response measurements in a free field down to 100 Hertz, which is pretty impressive because below 100 Hertz there's nothing happening in the windshield kit anyway. So that is as good as we had to go. So what we can do is we can measure the frequency transparency of our windshield kits, of our softies, of the different materials we use. The next thing we wanted to do is we wanted to test our shock mounts. So we created a complete new shaker system which can go up to 16 kilohertz and has enough power to go beyond the limits of any shock mount on the planet. So we actually see and feel and measure what happens if you go beyond the limits of the shock mount technology we have at the moment. So, which is very handy to identify where you can tweak and improve your products to the next generation.
And that's this little beastie here, currently humming away. Yeah, that's the weirdest thing in the world. This is probably the only place in the world where you're actually going to feel pink noise, I guess.
Yeah.
And you've got a Rycote mount on it at the moment, but I guess you measure other things as well?
Well, basically we test the microphone on the basic mic clamp, which comes with the microphone, against a shock mount, obviously. So we know the efficiency of our shock mount against the normal mic clamp. And of course we measure all kinds of things on that machine.
I'm told this is a wind tunnel, which is a little bit odd considering its size.
Yeah, and it made it very complicated for the acoustic architects to get this done, because what I wanted to do, I wanted to measure things within the wind and also like not separate the wind tunnel from the acoustic testings completely, because there always might be that one incident where you need to measure your frequency within the wind tunnel, because if the wind, for example, flattens the fur. So there are a lot of things you could think of where you need to have a controlled environment in your wind tunnel, which is non-existing so far as I know, obviously. So you can unplug those two plugs.
Ooh.
Jesus.
This is like something out of Indiana Jones.
Yeah. Oh.
Whoa!
And then you unplug the other plug on the other side.
Okay, I'll give that a go.
Actually, you can see how deep the insulation is. And then we have a wind machine attached but acoustically isolated from the room itself, sitting on the wall outside the room, and we can crank up the wind machine going up to 16 meters per second, which is far beyond anything any windshield can hold off at the moment. So again, we tried to go to the next level to see what happens actually if you go beyond the limits, so you understand why a windshield doesn't work from a certain wind speed anymore. So you have something where you can just start to work on and try to improve and make it more efficient.
And of course, if you're going to define a limit, you have to go beyond that limit to know at which point everything stops.
Absolutely.
And when you're testing the transparency of the audio transparency of your systems, how are you doing that in here then? Is that, have you got a speaker that you're using? Or?
Yes, yeah, you put the microphone in front of a speaker. Basically, we do have some Earthworks measurement microphones where we measure the actual acoustics of our windshields and the softies, and we can also measure the polar pattern of the windshield. Yeah, so we basically are equipped now to measure whatever we like and get really behind what we are developing and before we actually launch it to the market.
It's fantastic. And of course, the great thing about this is, in here, no one can hear you scream. Ah! Not funny anymore, boys. Gag's over. Hello? Come on.